big slogan of ours is, what does it look like to make history for our club?
The belief is there. Go and try and get these points and hopefully make a playoff run.
Guess who's back? No, it's not Shady. Shady's not back. The NWSL is back from a long international weeks per se. It's been 3 long weeks since a dash been playing. Now they're coming back this weekend to play once again. But once again, welcome again to another edition for the Orange and Blueprints podcast here at Bayou City Soccer. I'm your host Manny Olivares. Who else is happy for the NWSL to be back? My co-host Diego. Look at that face. Look at
How
that face.
we doing? I'm just happy to be back. We are back. I was telling Manny before the show started that I felt a little empty not being able to chat with y'all about NWSL action last week, but we're back. We have some stuff to talk about because the USA had a lot of stuff going on against Japan. We've got some internationals outside of the US that made some noise. But yeah, and also apologies in advance because I know my Wi-Fi signal is really terrible. I will say that.
It's okay. I think it's at that time of the week. The Wi-Fi is going down for everyone, but no, it's good to speak with everyone again. We know everyone thought it's the Dynamo live reaction, but it's not, unfortunately. But it's really good to be with everyone again. So just let's go straight out the bat. International week. It was long. I know international week feels long when you're away for that, but I feel like this was extremely longer than any post. Even during this international week, Kansas City had their Teal Cup, so that was you could tell that was a long international window for these teams. But just wanted to highlight who was out. Sarah was over Austria for the qualifiers. Kiki was out there for the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Linda Allmark was for the under-20s. Leah Klenke and Kate Rader for the U22 US as well, under-22. Jane Avery for the U.S. women's national team against Japan. So it was pretty good squad that came out for the international window. Just want to hop into you, Diego. Any of those performances of these players stand out to you for an international window?
I mean, we said it before the window, and we said it in the show that a player that could really benefit from this is Kiki Vincenten, and I think she absolutely did that. The momentum that she really got going into the NWSL season and getting into that start that she did was phenomenal. But then now moving into that international break, we asked the question of, could she carry that momentum into her national team? And I think she did just that. I think this is, from my perspective, I was able to catch the game, which was fantastic. I think this might have been the most involved I've seen her. And then Sarah, the leader, as she's been for a couple of years now. And I think Avery Patterson was fantastic. I think it's the same storylines that we normally get of Kiki getting better and better, of Avery being fantastic, and Sarah leading her European side. I want to swing back that question to you and ask you if you're thinking of anybody else, because I know you might have an opinion on some of the youth getting called up, but I wanted to forward that to you.
I think it was a good shout out for Kiki. I think you would think that I think just because her rise in the dash may be for a lot, just because to regular people, the dash is in really high regard as a platform for greater and bigger things. So to see that translate to to the international level was good, and to that she actually helped Jamaica qualify for the CONCACAF uh, W champions in for more we'll talk championship round. So we'll talk about that later. So good to see that she has contributed to that, but also as well, like to see the other the youth ones. You know, Evelyn Dujan, I forgot to mention, was in Sweden as well for her stint. But also, I think what I like most is that was that Linda Olmark and Kat Rader were key contributors to their actual international camps. They made goals. They were out there scoring, so they show a lot of promise for the youth under women's national team, especially with Kat Rader. I think because usually if you always hear Emma Hayes regards on the U22 that's her futures camp. So she likes to look at what players is actually getting involved in that and maybe transition over to the national team. So really good for that as well. But I think, of course, people will be a little bit upset that Jane didn't give a look at for the women's national team. I think it was pretty much a veteran piece for the women's national team for the two goalkeepers, Claudia Dickey and uh, Alice Joyce. So
Mhm.
really, really just for her experience and her leadership for the goalkeeper locker room more than anything. But
Mhm.
but I think it was just pretty much it. It was really good to see just everyone. I think everyone came by good shape. Fortunately for them, they have still the key players in attack. Uh, and what make this dash great has some good reps. Still had game match fitness. So for me, that's a plus. That's a plus for and no one got injured, so perfectly good for all of that. Well, we'll see because we haven't seen their availability report, but from the looks of it, everyone came back good. But we'll see. We'll see on that as well. Any
The
from
band's back together.
yeah.
Band's
Any,
back together.
any last thoughts about the international window?
No, I think you nailed it. I think this window wasn't as eventful because obviously, I mean, you have a major tournament coming up, and it's not close enough to where we're talking about it. Major tournament being the World Cup coming up next year. But like it's not close enough to where I feel like we're gonna talk about it. But I don't know. It's always good to see Dash players getting represented on the international stage, and I think that's a good way to wrap up the segment. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really interesting to see. It really encouraging to see that the dash players have a good thing of that. But as we mentioned, more talk about the uh, CONCACAF, the way the CONCACAF championship, just the way that it's a really really tongue twister. So they announced yesterday that the 2026 CONCACAF W championship will be hosted in Texas. So if those who doesn't know, this is how CONCACAF like to settle who qualifies for the World Cup and who qualifies, this time, not this time around, heaven knows, but the women's gold W Cup as well. And so at the moment, 8 teams will be played in between the November 27th and December 5th. Um, the first quarterfinals and semifinals of those teams qualified. Uh, the quarterfinals and semifinals will be played in Texas Health and as well as the play-in match as well. And the final and third place match will be played at Shell Energy Stadium. The teams are involved for this are United States versus El Salvador, Canada versus Panama, Mexico versus Haiti, and Jamaica versus Costa Rica. So it's really good. So basically, hopefully, if everything goes well as in paper, potentially we'll see USA, Canada, Mexico, and Jamaica play here in Shell Energy Stadium. So, what do you think about that news? And just most important about women's soccer in Houston?
Oh, I love this news. I think it's fantastic. I already um I think seeing these kinds of things it really just promotes the city women's sports, women's soccer. I mean, you have, I know this is unrelated, but the Comets coming back into Houston. So women's sports in general, this is huge for that that platform in Houston, and I think it's great timing. I think it's going to be great competition. I mean, the Dash really have an opportunity to market these games and to maybe get a couple of Dash fans out of this experience. And I think it's phenomenal for the Dash. I think it's phenomenal for Houston. I think it's phenomenal for women's sports, not just in Houston, but like kind of everywhere because this points all the eyes to Houston. And I think we've seen success with these kinds of things. I'd like to believe, and when there's really a push, we've seen a sellout game at Shell Energy Stadium. The playoff game where the Dash lost to KC Current. I was there. It was fantastic. I would say a top 5 atmosphere I've ever seen. Um, I'm just so happy to hear the news. I think it's special, and it'll be something that I'm definitely going to be looking at flying back home for, even though that's like right around my graduation, which is kind of crazy. Kind of crazy to think about, Manny. Can't you believe that?
Yeah, so it's good. It's good, actually, pretty good to see. Hopefully, he can come back. So for those who don't know, that for sure the Saturday, December 5th, will be the match that Houston will host. So accordingly, the way how's the schedule, the third place match will go first, and then of course the final afterwards. So for those who be attending at the moment, it looks like it's gonna be a double header. So one ticket for 2 games. So those will be actually pretty good. So to see how that goes as well, I think it's just really good, really important to see that because at the end of the day, you know, you want to qualify for the World Cup, and at the end of the day, you still get a trophy per se from CONCACAF for your achievement as well. So it's really good to see how this is going for women's soccer as well. Houston, I think right now, if we'll talk about more as we go a little bit more. If um if the Dash continue on their high streak right now and their projection that they're going, I think if they keep going, getting the results that they're getting, wins after wins after wins, and climbing up the table, and maybe uh, finishing in playoffs and having a long run of playoffs, maybe this crowd is going to be much huge than just because we know for sure, the U.S. women's national team always travels, always support them. So it's going to be a good crowd. So even much more if, for instance, Avery Patterson or even a long shot, one of these Dash players gets into it as well. So it's going to be really interesting how it goes, and so hopefully we'll see more excitement for this as the weeks and months rolls out. But it's good news for women's soccer, actually, for here, for the city of Houston. But back to our quote unquote regular program of the week. We're back. Feels like forever since the Dash has played. I forgot like what were they. So currently, in the throughout this break, the Dash sits in 5th place with 9 points under Angel City FC with just a goal differential. But remember, the Dash too has a game in hand because a lot of teams play midweek because of the up and coming this month and next month for the semifinals and finals, in third place for the CONCACAF W Championship Cup. So it's coming up real soon. So a lot of these teams are actually involved in that as well. So it's really interesting just how these couple of next weeks and months it is for the Dash. I know I'm just taking just thinking about a long term, but just see how it goes and see just
Mhm.
how it goes. But they face, and this is going to mention to the preview. They face a North Carolina Courage team, 12th in the table, have a really bumpy start to the season. Only played four matches. First one against Louisville, and everyone and winless the last three. Tied with Gotham, lost with Bay SC, and tied with Portland. What's your thoughts on this North Carolina Courage side.
I mean, they're doing, I feel like, extremely very okay. I'd like to label it like that. NT Courage coming into this team, into this season, um, looked like a gigantic question mark. They
Mhm.
did, without a coach, without a real identity, without like really any semblance, I would say, of hope. If you're an NT Courage fan, um, they sit 12th. If you look
Mhm.
who's in between them, it's Casey, Current, and Gotham. So if they're in the conversation with two of the best teams in NWSL, I would say from last year, which is kind of insane. Um, yeah, I would label them as just an okay team, and I think we can't fall victim to that. I
Mhm.
think Louisville put a real test in the game, and I feel like NC Courage might do the same. We've struggled against them. That is a team that we struggle against
Mhm.
every single year. Um, it, it's it's a tough game because you have to look at it with the context of you want to keep the ball rolling on this arguably historic start, but you also don't want to fall victim of overconfidence.
Yeah, I think so too. I think as well. It's well, you got to think about it, only like some players played for this during this international window, and our players didn't. Of course, some teams had friendly competition during this week. Some had closed door friendlies as well. So we don't know if the Dash did as well. So a lot of these teams, some were still in game shape, but some are not. So it's very interesting how basically this little reboot of the season is, and see how the team functions. And so, but I think the North Carolina Courage is real mind-boggling because if you look at it, just a roster, of course, goalkeeper, Kellen, I always butcher her name, Shadan, the Canadian goalkeeper, very very reliable in the goalkeeper. Even her time with Gotham and San Diego Wave FC, she has been very comfortable in the sticks. Of course, you have player. I think for me, when I see the lineup for defense, Natalie Jacobs just jumped out for me as their reliable center back. And at the time, of course, you have Macy Bell, who has been a good uh, acquisition from North Carolina Courage when they made that trade for her, because she is a good third year in the league, a good center back, but now hasn't really developed as a real main star as a center back, but still has it. But if you look at the wing backs as well, you have very old but good veterans like Ryan Williams, who has been a couple of times with in the NWSL, Danielle Weatherholt, who has been also a veteran in the NWSL, but really up in age as well. And the midfield, you just look at it, it's like very don't can't make a think of it. The only one that really scares you off the page is Ashley Sanchez. I feel like Angie Sanchez is always a anom anomaly just because she can be not very active, but yet she can make a threat inside the box and score goals. She hasn't been called up for the U.S. for almost 2 years, but you can see that she is still lethal in the box. So it's just very interesting how this game is going, and just like looking the only thing I really interesting that I was really deep diving in the North Carolina Courage, Natalie Jacobs missed 2 games, and she started on the win against Louisville. She started against Gotham, but was subbed out the last 3 minutes because of a head injury, and then she was out missing the last 2 games. The last 2 games without her, the defense has been very horrible. The defense has been very lost. And so without her, so not saying that we want her, that we want any ill will against a former player, but if she's out for this game against the Houston Dash, I think that's Houston Dash's game to win. Am I wrong saying that, or just I'm reading too much into it because we don't know how the restart is going to be?
I think it is the Dash's game to really ultimately decide. Again, I think it's going to be very similar to the Louisville game, where you're going to be looked at as the better team, as the more organized team, as the more cohesive team. I think fundamentally you can't let the same mistakes happen. You have to be a little more disciplined on defense. You have to be a little more cohesive in the midfield. But those are things that you can make small tweaks with. Those
Hmm.
are mistakes you can make against Louisville, against North Carolina Courage. You can't do that against Angel City. I mean, you
Yeah,
saw what happened. And so I think, yes, it's the Dashers game to really lose.
yeah,
But also you have to understand that, like, really coming back against breaks, anything can happen. Um, and so I think they have to put that extra emphasis of it doesn't matter whether it's your game to lose. It doesn't matter whether it's your game to win. What matters is you get the result.
yeah. Exactly. I think that's the point you want to get. You want to get a good result right now because looking at a table like you mentioned, we don't want to be overconfident, but you're in pole position in a table, So because if you think about it, just looking at the NWSL schedule for this week, if you look at it right now, you have you know Racing Louisville against Orlando Pride. You know that is going to be a almost a win for the Orlando Pride. But you have KC versus Washington. Both teams are struggling. See how whose teams will come out better from this break. You can you have Chicago versus Boston, two lower teams facing each other, and San Diego versus the Summit that has been very very on the rise before the break, and so we'll see how that goes. And of course, what's a favorite match for you is that the two teams are at top of Angel City and Portland, and Seattle and Utah at the moment that are around your area are facing each other. So so basically, if you get a win right now against time when these top teams are facing each other, you can uh, take advantage per se of the table and get your where your positions at, get a better lead and more. I don't want to say more of a cushion, but you kind of need a cushion right now because right now the games are coming thick. You have this game coming up, and then before you know it, right now I mentioned before we started preview, the games are coming back because starting May 1st. So May 1st, you have another game on Wednesday, and you have another game on Saturday, and you have a game on Friday. After that, you have a game on Wednesday as well. You have another game on Saturday. So basically, in the month of May, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, you have 8 matches coming up, just May alone. So right now, it's pedal to the metal, and it's just grind it out. So before the summer break for the World Cup uh and then after that you don't have a game until July. So pretty much everything right now is crunch time. So these wins right now are more importantly now than ever. Am I wrong on thinking that, or or it's now or never?
No, you got it. You got to push for it. I mean, regardless of how young your team is, you have to compete for a playoff spot, and you have to take these games and really, really look for every opportunity to really dominate. The Boston game was great, but I want to see another dominant win like that, where you're really proving yourself that you're beating the teams you're supposed to, and then really pushing it to the teams that you're not supposed to. Um, I think, yeah, I think now or never. It's not a never thing because again, there's youth. This
Yeah,
team is youth, but that shouldn't stop you from going all in this year because you can always go all in next year and the year after that. You're building a
yeah,
project. Part of a project also comes with if you're competing, compete. Have a good time. Have that time competing. Like
yeah.
that's I think the bottom line.
No, you're right. I think that's it now or never. As like there won't be another chance, but I think once you're ahead right now of the pack right now, and what you should just take advantage of that, just being ahead right now, and when you do hit a slump or do face opponents that might be a little bit better than you, or might be unfavorable result like we saw in Angel City, just for that 2-1 loss. that was looking more in Dash's way, but Dash just shoot themselves in the foot. So you kind of not say you can't can take those losses, but you per se you have a better like you can afford. That's what I'm trying to say. You can afford that loss, even though this league is pretty much uh just tooth and nail with just how the parity is and how close the teams are. So losing isn't the best idea, but if you're up in the table and you're trying to comfort your have a cushion, I think right now is the best time. So now your predictions for this game. I know it's gonna be very hard to see because of the way how both teams are. But if we just take the form before the
Yeah.
break, how do you see these teams or how you see this matchup coming up
2-0. 2-0. I think
for
we're winning
Dash?
2-0. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I think Dasher win. Sorry for saying we. I think the Dasher winning 2-0. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great performance. I'm excited to see this. I think it will be something that we can look back on and be extremely proud.
dang, he's like 2-0. That's it. Vámonos. No, yeah. I think if the team starts clicking like they did before, um, and get players back, like Elisa Boyd team back to her fitness, and if even Avery has to sit down for a couple, for a long, she's been used a while for US as well, so if she needs to sit down for it to catch her breath, we do have Leah Klinky and Lisa Boating, and even for as well as Westfall, if case maybe. So we do have that as well. Hopefully as well. We at this point we also see hopefully Kay Fosse back as well. It's been a while, so
Hmm.
we know she's been out with her ankle for a couple of while, and she's been practicing before the break. So hopefully right now she'll be somewhat available, at least if you're not starting, but off the bench. So you do have that as well in your disposal as well. So I think as well for me, I think it's gonna be I will say a 2-1. I'll say 2-1. Just because teams will be rusty, teams will be maybe not clicking all cylinders, but I do see a 2-1 after this. But just this is how it is right now. We'll see how it goes. We'll see uh how it is. But
Yeah.
before we go, let me do this parting shot with everyone. NWSL just announced we already know one team already, Atlanta, but this weekend we saw that Columbus will join 2028. So two teams joining in 2028 will extend their to 18 teams on 2028. But not only that, hopefully by the next podcast, we will know the results of the NWSL board meeting with a change of schedule, trying to imitate the European schedule with the fall to spring schedule. Just want to take Diego's thoughts with those two news. Of you're like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was dozing off. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Wait, what were you asking me?
hey, this man. I'm gonna talk about uh, breaking God shattering news, and he's like, what? What are you talking about?
It's been a long day, man.
Man, this is life changing news, and he's sleeping on the. Now, just your thoughts about the two new teams, especially Columbus in 2028,
Oh,
and
okay.
and
Yeah.
and then the schedule change potentially. Uh,
Yeah. Okay. That
for
is okay. I'll give you that one. That is very life changing. I don't like the schedule thing. I also don't like it in MLS. I'm in the unpopular opinion of that. But I think keep yourself different from the soccer season. I know it'll be hard to get players, and I know there is complications with that, but you get the eyes where nobody else is watching soccer, and I think that is invaluable when you're growing a league. And
mm,
then Columbus. What do you mean? You
well,
wanted my take. You get my take.
I know, but I was gonna say I'll let you take after you go.
That's my take. But and then Columbus, I think it's great to see the league grow, to see the league expand. Columbus is a proven soccer city. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see them get their own women's team.
I know. Just for Columbus, I think it's a good. It's a good. Columbus is a good, like you say, culture city as well. Even though, just rumors, just maybe bad ownership. Uh, in regards on the women's side, maybe it will be in
Okay, wait,
question. But I
Manny,
feel
I
like,
can't hear you.
I think Diego's having technical problems
Oh boy.
at the
Apologies,
moment.
everybody. There is.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Nah, man, he gone. He
I
gone.
still can't hear you. What?
He gone. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Yeah, so
Not a
he
great,
gone.
not a great episode on my front. I will tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. No, but regards of the Columbus part, I think it's a good city, but
Ugh,
I think just past
I still can't
uh
hear you.
leadership has been pretty much down on that end, and really see how that goes from
Still
the
nothing.
and Diego's crashing out. I like how Diego's just crashing out right now, but I think
Still nothing.
this boy needs to check
Oh,
his
what a
settings.
horrible episode on my front. Oh wow. That's. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
but
I
but
have checked. If you'll time,
but but
let me triple check it.
but I think it's a good I think see how the city is going, and by that see just hopefully the NWSL did have change as well just the I think the landscape of how they view their ownership,
I can find
and
him.
so the ownership did it's a good it's so hopefully the ownership has gotten better on that end, but we'll see on that. But in regards of the schedule change, a lot of retired players, a lot of media and people that cover the league has been more on the favor side. I know there came a report of the players union that they're not that they're against it, but they have questions on it, mostly because of the what their CBA recalls if it does a schedule change does happen, how they will get compensated, how would they how that would change, and I think that's pretty much the main drive of the quote unquote opposition of the change. But that's something that at the end of the day, under CBA contract, the NWSL does have the final say on the schedule. But on regards of Diego, what Diego says, he says that make yourself different, make yourself that, but the problem is that as well as trying to make different as well, the NWSL still has to respect the FIFA window, and they try to do that so many times. And it's like that's why you have these long international breaks, like right now, because the NWSL is trying to come to cover these international windows and try to be on top of them. That's why like during the championship they were out of it for almost a week before the actual playoffs actually caught. So it's very taxing on the league. But at the end of the day, it's going to be have almost like the MLS because the other actual leagues do have per se they do have a break in the winter. Like the WSL do have a break, unlike the Premier League. They do have a break. La Liga still has a break as well for the winter, and the women's and the German and the French league. So these players do have uh they still have spaces for the break. So they do have all these commodities for the
Hmm.
team. So I do believe that overall
Yeah.
just the future of the league, it's better to do that move. And a lot of owners are more into it since MLS is doing it and see the adjustment.
Yeah.
Maybe since NWS are late to the party, you won't see
Hmm.
this change. Maybe for maybe 2028 will be the more realistic goal for that.
Manny, I do have a question for you because my main argument against this is the fact that I'm gonna take MLS for an example because they're really the team that did it first when it comes to the Switch. I have always made the argument that when you have markets within MLS that are fans of like European soccer or something like that, that they would pick their European team over their MLS team. I would say the majority would do that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like with the NWSL, the league is big enough to where that question isn't necessarily an issue?
No, I don't think so at all. I think so. I don't think so at all. Just because the level between the European Women's League and the NWSL are pretty much, I think, on the same bar. Because if you see players like, for instance, Alyssa Thompson, Naomi Gurma, you do have players that went over to Europe or even players like, for instance, in the French league, that transitioned over there with no ease, with no problem. But I think the other way is worse when European players come to here. They feel like the league is a step higher. I feel like it's much harder for them to adapt to the NWSL, and just because of how maybe just the travel, but also the actual competition, the players. They always mention that the level is very high here, and so I would say if you do make the switch, I would believe the NWSL will be in a higher pedestal than the WSL, the French league, especially the French league, and the German league. I think the NWSL get past that because now they have more bargaining rights. Now we're like, there's no excuse. We perfectly match the FIFA window. We have high quality play. We have teams expanded. Now we have 18 teams. We don't know. By that time, we might have 20 with the window change. So with that growing and growing, the competition will grow. I feel like 20 teams should be at the moment a hard hold for now and see how it grows. But after that, I feel like the t- the the end of still on the prime position to be one of the best leagues at the moment if they make the schedule change and bargaining out that. So we might see players, huge players, and play maybe in the women's championship, champions league, come to NWSL. But it's really hard to know that if you don't make the change. And a lot of people, a lot of media and players are really into this. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I agree more with the NWSL switching than the MLS. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because I think the MLS isn't as big enough of a market to compete with European teams for viewers and viewership. And I think NWSL is gonna be okay. I just wanted to hear your opinion on like a consistent basis of like this shift itself. I know that players are concerned about the weather, if that is correct.
Yeah, it was mostly about the compensation more than the weather.
Okay. I remember
Because
reading about the weather. I don't
yeah,
remember reading anything about competition.
I
I
know.
was under the assumption that it would be the same.
Like I mentioned before, the WSL and the German league and the French league and the Spain league have a winter break. So by December, all those teams are done playing
Yeah.
for the teams. So so and they come back by mid January, end of January. So we could do the same as well. Maybe push it back to beginning of February. So for some markets, but it's important that we have a lot of South teams coming in. Like for instance, Atlanta. We have the Florida teams, North Carolina as well. So we do have KC, Houston, and all the California. So we maybe in those cases, those teams can host during the winter months, so that there'll be equal balance in schedule. And so, but it's all about schedule at the end of the day. You know what markets are cold. You already know what markets are cold, and you know what markets are not very cold during those times, and you try to arrange that the schedule that made those markets cold during the winter months, and then the more favorable times are more like fall and spring have the north markets. I think in the end of the day, it's all about schedule. You know,
Yeah.
so but it's doable. I feel like it's doable, but it just all depends on scheduling and everything. But
I think that's
but
fair.
and then but the main thing about that compensation is that the compensation that the players get right now is because is for the current NWSL schedule. The
Mhm.
monthly break in summer and the long winter. The long FIFA. Like this past FIFA
Mhm.
window, the NWSL had an extra uh, couple of days off just because of the international window.
Mhm.
So just because they gave that compensation now with the new change of schedule, that compensation does not exist because of the whole change now. So how would that change? And of course, other things as well. So what would the new arrangement be? So we'll see how that goes. We'll see, but more I think just good news. Good news if you're a fan of women's soccer, it's good news all around.
Mhm.
So that's why I get. But that'll be that's our thoughts. Hopefully we will heard that announcement for next podcast. Hopefully by then Diego will have his set up perfectly well. I know.
Hey, by next time, hopefully Manny will pick a team to support for once.
Yeah.
I'm not just sitting there and taking it. I will clap back. No, I'm kidding. But
Yeah. Cut back. I was like, what was it called? That post by what was it called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to look for it right now. Give me a moment.
Oh my
The
gosh.
post by the post by the Minnesota Twins. What things you could get in a dozen: eggs, roses, and the Mets losing.
All right. All right. All right.
Man, I was
Did you
hanging it.
see that Charlotte FC also posted that about the Mets losing?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotham plays Bay FC. Maybe Bay FC will post something about the Mets, even though they play in Jersey. But yeah,
I don't know. That'll be fun. That'll be hilarious.
that would
But
be.
we'll see. Hopefully, from this win, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how everything goes. But hopefully, Dash wins and continue to form. And next week, hopefully, we'll hear news of the schedule change, if anything, how that goes, and what will be entailed from that. So,
Mhm.
but thank you for all for stopping by. Thank you for all. See you next week. Diego's like, I'm triggered.
No, I thought you were gonna keep talking. I thought you were gonna keep talking. Oh my god, I was gonna wait for you to finish talking, and then you just went, "We'll see y'all next week." I was like, "Oh, normally you're like, Diego, do you have anything else to say?" No, you're like,
No,
"We'll
I'm
see you
just, I'm
next week."
just, I know, I'm just messing with it.
Oh, this dude knows I've been having a long day, and he's like, you know what? Let's make his day worse. No, I'm kidding.
No,
No, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Manny. It's always a pleasure to talk to y'all Dash fans about what's been going on with H Town's finest. And you know what? Next week, hopefully, we'll be back with some better internet on my part, a better setup on my part, and a good 3 points from your Houston Dash. Let's hope for the best and fingers crossed. Manny, anything else?
no, that'll be it. Thank you for all for tuning in. Always look for us at Bayou City Soccer at our social medias on Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, the Threads, the Blue Skies, everything. Thanks for our sponsor, Ugly Guppy. We got soccer and as well Lotus Bravos. But thank you for all. We'll see you again next week. See ya.